In this section, we're going to be discussing probability, but we'll start with a review of fractions, decimals, and percents. Remember that percent literally means divide by 100. Per means divide, cent means 100. So if I want to go from a percent to a fraction, I will just write the number of the percent over 100 and then reduce. So for example, 24% would be 24 over 100. Now 24 and 100 are both divisible by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 100 divided by 4 is 25. And then 6 over 25 doesn't reduce anymore because they are relatively prime. To go from a percent to a decimal, again, remember percent means divide by 100. So you could use your calculator and you could change, in this example, 4% into 4 divided by 100. And you could put that in your calculator and get a decimal value. Or you might remember the trick where you can move the decimal spot 2 spaces to the left. And either way, whether you use your calculator or you move the decimal, you're going to get 0.04, being the same thing as 4%. If you want to go from a decimal to a percent, you do the reverse. You can move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, or instead of dividing by 100, you can multiply by 100. Either way, you get 147% when we change 1.47 into a percent. To go from a decimal to a fraction, you'll want to read the number with correct place value. So in this example, 0.05, this 5 is in the 100ths place. So 0.05, there's a 0 in the ones place, a 0 in the tenths place, and the important part is that there's a 5 in the 100ths place. So this is the same thing as 5 100ths, which reduces to 1 over 20. So 0.05 is equivalent to 1/20th. Finally, if we want to go from a fraction to a percent, you might like to first divide and change it to a decimal, and then use the trick where you move the decimal point 2 places to the right. Or you might put this into your calculator by multiplying by 100. Either way, we get 0.95, which as a percent is 95%.